Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Fourth World Book Club on 22 Panels, where I'm joined by playwright and comics aficionado Mark Pracht, and maybe at some point actor and comic aficionado Sean Harklerode, but he seems to be sleeping in this morning, so we'll give him a break. He went out and supported Alex Ross last night. Um,
Hey, so did I. I was out
well,
just as late as
yeah.
Sean.
Well, I was trying not to throw him completely under the
Oh,
bus.
I'll throw him under the bus. I am up. It is 10 in
You
the
guys have
morning
been friends
and I
longer,
am
man.
here.
So before we get started, I actually wanted to bring up a couple of not strictly fourth world things, but Kirby things, or at least Kirby adjacent things.
Hmm.
Um, I talked to Tiffany Fab of the wonderful Comics Courier
Uh-huh.
this week. And did you get a chance? Did you kickstart the Comics Courier?
I did not.
You would enjoy this reading. I might have to slip you my PDF. Um, but there were two things that wound up standing out to me a lot. Uh, Douglas Wolk in his interview, "The Leaf is Terrific," talking about Just Married number 55 from Charlton Comics, used the word "coletified." And I thought that you would very much appreciate that. He said,
Uh yeah. That's yeah.
in reference to one of the stories, it was definitely inked by Vince Colletta, who inked every romance comic he could get his hands on throughout his career and colletified them to the point that it's often tough to tell whose pencils he was inking anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
um,
mean, the whole Vince Coletta, we've had this discussion, but
yeah,
I think that there's so many people who have uh, issues with Vince Coletta and Vince liked to, I read a lot about the persona he liked to uh, put forth, where he would drive his Cadillac down into a certain like Italian neighborhood and just leave it unlocked with all of his stuff in it, and no one would touch that car, and it's like, yeah, okay, it's like a little bit of the, Vinny knew people is what
right.
he liked people to
What the
believe.
implication was supposed to be.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
there's Coletta was a guy who got the job done.
right,
And we've talked about that. If he had the time, he could do a really good job.
right.
But nine times out of 10, they were just like, okay, we need 55 pages inked this week. And he would just, and he would be like, don't need this, don't need this, don't need
Right.
this. It's like,
And I wasn't trying to like bash
oh,
him as
no,
much as I loved the fact that it turned
it's
out that this guy that I
codified. Is,
didn't know that you were big on, Douglas Wolk has actually turned into a verb.
I mean, I wouldn't, look, and I'm not big on Coletta. I don't, I find him an interesting figure.
Right.
He's interesting to read about. I'm not like a huge fan, nor am I a huge detractor. It's like, eh, you know, he's certainly no Mike Royer. Uh,
But then in a similar vein, in that it was again um dealing with inking, and this time of Jack Kirby,
mhm.
Hassan Otsman Al did a piece on Strange Tales 151 through 153, which are
Mhm.
the last three um, Kirby drawn issues or Kirby layout issues, and inked by Jim Steranko before
Mhm.
Steranko took over the Nick Fury from there.
Right.
And he really talks about how you can like metaphorically see the torch passed. Like the first one, you can still see Kirby in it, but you're seeing little things where Steranko, like the he talks about he can't actually imagine Kirby drawing the leader of Hydra drinking a glass of wine, so he kind of figures that that was slipped in by
Yeah. I mean,
um
I
the
think
the
that
the plunging neckline throughout the three issues
yeah, yeah.
and Nick Fury's shirt. So like the first issue looks not quite like Kirby, but very inspired by Kirby, and the third of the issues looks not quite like Steranko, but more inspired by Steranko. So like you haven't read them, I'm assuming, but it might be worth playing with
I've
at some point because
seen
it's
I've seen those issues. I
right,
it's been a very long time since I read them,
right,
but that was sort of standard operating procedure at Marvel during that time was that, if they brought in somebody new, Stan would be like, "Hey, Jack, do layouts for them so they understand what we do here."
right.
And then, um, Jack would do, either very rough layouts or
I mean,
tight
in this
layouts.
case, though, he'd been doing
Yeah,
Nick Fury for a
right,
significant period. I mean, Steranko was the first person to do Nick Fury other than
right,
Kirby, I believe. So
right, right.
it's not like it was just, oh, I'm going to jump in and do these three for Steranko. It was
Right. No, no, no. But I mean, but I
right,
think
but he
also
probably loosened up as he went.
right.
Yeah,
But and I think it was also something that Jack, I think, felt misused by, that he
right,
would end up essentially laying out these books for some other artist who would get the money.
right.
And I think
Well, and they're both credited at least, so there's
sure. I mean,
so hopefully they both got paid.
100%. If they're both credited, they both would have gotten a check. But you know, but you see that in, like, even great artists like John Buscema, uh, you can you like the way Buscema lays out a page and the way he draws figures is 100%. Like the posing is 100% Kirby. I mean, Buscema is a better technical artist than Kirby. Uh, his anatomy is much better. His figures are much more realistic, but the idea of that full bore, uh, find the most extreme positioning of the body you can is all. I mean, you can just
Right.
see every page that Buscema
Whereas,
draws.
and I haven't looked at 154 yet because apparently, Hassan writes about 154 being actually very much immediately full on Steranko.
Right.
Um, and in part because it's not Kirby.
Yeah.
Like you can see it through these three issues,
Yeah.
and one of the things that Hassan brought up that I didn't even realize, I hadn't even fully like put together about Kirby until both Hassan talked about it and I watched over these three issues it get tighter. Kirby's
Yeah.
really big on loose fitting clothes, and
Sure.
Steranko is very, very big on tight fitting, and like you can
Yeah.
watch in like single issues the clothes become more form fitting.
Yeah. I mean, uh, I want to like the look. Steranko is the Nick Fury Agent of Shield artist.
Oh,
He didn't
absolutely.
even he didn't even really do that many issues of it, but
No,
he
he
is
defined it. Right,
defined what that book is,
right,
and just in the same way that Kirby defined so many of those Marvel books,
right, right.
Steranko did. Um, it kind of prompts something. I was I was on Reddit somewhere, God help me, but uh, it somebody was talking about Thunderbolt, and they were talking about Julie Louise Dreyfus having the streak of white in her hair, and this guy was going off and off and off, and he was like, "Oh, that's obviously a, a an homage to Rogue. It's about Rogue. They're trying to indicate that Rogue is coming." And I just started putting up all these Steranko drawings of Valentina, Allegra di Fontaine, Contessa, Contessa Valentina Allegra di Fontaine. I, I never get that name right, but and all all of these things with the white stripe, and I'm like, buddy, this character predates Rogue by like 15 years. Sit down. I just I think it's so funny how I mean sometimes it's aggravating, but it's also funny, and it's fandom. Everybody's fandom is defined by their version of everything.
Right.
And it's like there's so much history to everything, and it goes so far back, and it there and w- I have my issues with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I really did like. I thought Thunderbolts was fantastic. I might even say it's my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Uh, just because
Haven't seen it yet, but that's high
that
praise.
it's it I'll just put it to you this way. The ending is about people confronting themselves, not about a sky beam or some bullshit like that,
Like, that I like.
and I wish and I hope that they do more stuff like that because it's really great, and I really enjoyed it. But like everybody's idea of what everything means always gets wrapped up in like whatever the last thing they read was, or
Yeah.
and it's like and God bless them, Marvel also leans into that. It's like
Oh yeah.
whatever that like whatever their hot
I mean, the truth of the
crossover
matter
is going to be.
is Rogue was likely, her look was at least likely mildly inspired by that look from, I'm not even going to try to remember the character's name because I don't know it as well as you do, and you stumbled over it. Um, and or some
Contessa
other character
Valentina
in
Allegra de
between
Fontaine, I
was,
think.
and like it
Yeah.
was just a Marvel thing to have that white streak every
Yeah,
once in a
yeah.
while. And Rogue was just the first character that like broke that had it.
Right. I mean, and
I mean,
for
particularly given that Rogue is from that era of cartoonists that or
oh sure, like the people,
that were very much influenced by other cartoonists,
yeah, no, yeah. When Rogue, I mean, like Rogue,
or even more
early
specifically, that
80s.
era, that first era of superhero cartoonists who were
Yeah,
very much influenced by other superhero
sure.
cartoonists.
Well, yeah, I mean, like just in terms of the uh yeah, well, I mean, getting back to the focus of this podcast, I mean, like the
Right.
amount of people who are uh inspired by Kirby, who
Mhm.
draw their style from doing variations on the Kirby thing, um, is it's fascinating. Like, I mean, every time I see Steve Rude stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, he's a total Kirbyite,
Right.
like it's
Um, this reminds me of one other thing from this week that just ties in. I finally read the first volume of Copra. Have you read Copra? Mikhail
no.
Fife. Um, it's very like Suicide Squad-esque, but it's independent. But what struck me was as I was reading, I want to say the afterword.
Hmm.
Um, the cartoonist talked about how he essentially challenged himself to work at a Kirby speed.
Hmm.
That part of the reason that it came out is rather than thinking everything out, rather than like it was just keep going, see where the story takes you. And it's really quite brilliant. I've been like recommended it forever, and it's coming to an end. So I've been like finally dusted off my trade paperback of volume one and managed to read it. And I'm like, oh, now I've got another thing that I need to read 50 more issues of.
Right.
But it
Yeah.
struck me that like it's become like a challenge that people make for themselves as like, let's see the best thing I can do where I'm saying that I have to do this much a day.
10 pages a week or whatever it is,
Right,
I
right.
mean, yeah, like it's, when we had that conversation with Matt Madden, it's the limitations that you put on yourself or the challenge that you give yourself to create something. I wish more comic people would do that.
Yeah.
You know, I wish, I wish I would love to see like a Brian Hitch be like, if I tell myself I have to draw a whole issue in a week
What will I do?
and not get anal about it, you know, what do you get? I mean, and like, a lot of people like to, the evolution of the Frank Miller style, right? The stuff that he's doing now, the covers and things. And some of that may be a health issue, but I also think that in a way, Miller is like kind of in his own way going more and more towards like a Kirby style, where it's like, I don't really
Right.
care about anatomy. I just care about like what kind of interesting image can I create.
Right.
I sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. I'm not here to defend it or anything like that,
I
but
mean, to a certain extent, I've always thought that Miller relied on his inkers for anatomy anyway.
that it's 100% possible and 100%, uh, you know. But I mean, like I also think, clearly what he's doing now on these covers is very, I mean, like you can trace it back to that last what was it? Sin City, the what was the last Sin City thing? It was
The
the whole
the
acid trip thing.
the
Uh
Love and War.
yeah, and like that was moving very much towards this very cartoony,
Yeah.
very very
That is possibly my favorite Sin City.
yeah. I mean, look,
And I love Sin City.
yeah,
We should consider Sin City at some point for
uh,
for
yeah. I mean,
um
I have,
Pulp Plotter.
yeah, yeah. That would be really good because, like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's about as much, and I'm also like, I am somewhat of I am a kind of a, I don't want to say apologist, but I mean, I do think that Frank Miller does what Frank Miller does, and you
Right.
can like it or hate it, and that's fine. But
I
I
I
don't. I also think that he is a true artist. Like he does what he wants to do, and
Well, and I guess what I'll say for Miller is that like the only thing he needs an apology for is, or at least that I think he needs an apology for is his post 9/11 screed and then Holy Terror.
holy, holy terror.
Um,
I mean, like,
but
look,
but but he lived how far from Ground Zero?
well, yeah.
So uh,
I mean,
when I
and he's
say
talked about
he
that,
needs an
like,
apology, I only kind of mean that. What
yeah,
I really mean is he should just be forgiven for it and don't read it.
right. Well, yeah. I mean, like, look, I certainly don't think Holy Terror is his best work. I think it's
I can't even
incredibly,
read it.
it's
I mean,
incredibly,
I've flipped parts of it, but I can't.
it's incredibly simplistic, a little bit
Right.
dumb, but I
Hmm.
mean, and thank God that DC pulled Batman out of it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But although Batman Holy Terror is a fucking incredible title.
It
I mean,
is.
um, but uh I think that it's exactly like he's never made any bones about the fact that it was a piece of propaganda, and it was a piece of
Right.
propaganda based on the fact that the city that he lived in was attacked, uh and he wanted to write something about it. And to me that's like, okay, of all
I
the
mean,
things of all the things you could do in response to that, creating a piece of art
right.
is
Right, right.
is a
And
pretty
my
positive
problem has
thing.
always been less with Holy Terror than like he put an incredibly he had the letter up on his website
Yeah,
forever.
yeah, yeah.
And
Oh, I know.
frankly, even writing the letter doesn't bother me as much as the fact that it was like the first thing you saw on his website for almost a decade after
Right.
9/11.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, dude, at some point you got to remember who you are because Frank
Right.
Miller of the 80s would have bitch slapped you for writing this.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, like, look, yeah, uh, you know, um, Yeah, I'm like we're talking about Frank Miller here now, but you know,
We're talking about comics,
I mean,
and
like this
Kirby
is
is comics,
probably this, you know, the
and we're giving
conver
Sean a little bit of time to wake up.
it's true. The conversation that, you know, like if we ever do Sin City as part of the Pulp Blotter, which is a really good idea, the you know, I think that there are many things that happened to Frank Miller in his life that a lot of us don't quite like. I mean, he talks about Dark Knight Returns came out of being
Oh,
very violently mugged, right?
oh, I
Um,
didn't know about that part. I just
yeah,
knew that he
and
woke up and realized he was older than Batman.
well, he said that too, but it was also like he was living in a crappy part of New York and
Right.
was hospitalized after being mugged.
Okay.
And I think that, you know, a lot of that stuff, again, I just go back to it's one of those things where I'm like it for myself as a big First Amendment free speech advocate, if you're angry about something, and even if it's something that maybe is not the most advisable thing to be angry about, and you make a piece of art about it, that's that's a positive thing. That's just you're
Absolutely.
expressing yourself in a way that
My
because
my only my only
words and
counter
pictures on a
argument,
page don't hurt anybody.
yeah, my only counter argument whatsoever, and it's not even really a counter argument, it's another free speech argument,
Sure.
is that people can choose not to read it.
Absolutely.
People can choose to be done.
100
Right.
100%. No one need, you know, like
Right.
that's
I mean
you know
that to me is the biggest thing that the current right-wing free speech movement doesn't get is free speech does not mean that you're not responsible for your speech.
oh no. I mean,
It means you
look,
get to make it and take the consequences.
well, sure. I mean, I think that I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, and like in any the best way to counteract free speech is more free speech. Like, you know,
Hmm.
if Frank Miller's Holy Terror bothers you a lot, then make your own book, write something,
Right.
create something
Or at the very
that,
least, don't buy Frank Miller. And that's
or don't
okay.
buy Frank Miller. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I just,
That's the
yeah,
quietest form of free speech you can take, but it is a form of
yeah.
free speech.
Well, I mean, and the thing is like I think that, and it's interesting because this conversation does kind of tie in to the Fourth World books this month.
I know.
Is that, you know, you can just, I think that one of the more disconcerting things about fandom for me right now is that it's like, well, this is what I want.
Right.
And if somebody does something other than that, it's got to be this whole fucking clash of, I mean, like I on May the
They're doing it
4th,
because they're woke, or they're doing it because they're afraid to upset this person, or they're
or they're doing it because they have to like or they have to prove how woke they are or
right, right.
you know it's like you know, on May the 4th, which recently I put up a post and I was like, you know what I wish for May the 4th is for all of you people to stop fucking arguing about this thing. You know
Yeah.
what? It's supposed to be for everybody, and that
Hmm.
doesn't mean that every part of it is for everybody. You don't like part of it? Great. Don't read it. Don't
And the
buy it. Don't
president
watch it.
totally outed himself by showing up with a red lightsaber.
Yeah. It's fucking whatever. But
That's as far as I'm going.
but I mean, like, but it's like just be like
It led to interesting community notes.
the 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 inability to just have an adult conversation about something that, like, let's be honest. Let us be honest, right? There are many things that are important in this world. Whether or not you like Andor is not one of them, right? Whether or not you thought the Acolyte was good or not is not something that we need to be screaming about like our lives depend on it, right? Turn the damn thing off. or watch it or whatever, you know. Stop acting like I can't I could read the whole thing, but I don't want to. But I mean, it was sort of like stop acting like uh uh George Lucas doesn't matter. But also don't stop acting like George Lucas is the only one who knows what Star Wars is. You know, it's like none of this exists without George Lucas, but at the same time, hey man, now there's all sorts of ideas, right, that can be used in this framework that he created, right? It's just
Right.
I think that anyway, I don't want to get onto a Star Wars rant, but I mean it happens in comics too, where it's like
No, this actually
it's like
takes us to Kirby
right.
in any number of ways. Um because like
Because God damn it, the Golden Guardian does not act like that.
well,
No,
I was just thinking like
it's a joke. It's a joke.
my
It's a joke.
my my introduction to Darkseid is actually the Great Darkness Saga.
Sure.
So like
I mean, and I think I've said before, I actually think that most of the great stories, the truly great stories about these characters from the fourth world, were done after Kirby was
right,
gone.
right.
And I think
So
that that is a
imagine if we'd
prime
been so
example.
precious. Imagine a world that people have been so precious about maintaining Kirby's vision that we didn't get all of the great art that he inspired.
You don't think that there's people out there who
I know that there are people out there.
the
I
Great
know
Darkness
that there are
Saga is
people
an
out there.
abomination. You know, it's a
I know that there are people out there, but like
no, I know. It's
I mean, hell,
it.
that's even like the place that I like to wade into it the least is Watchmen because I do think that DC did Alan Moore wrong, but I also think that there's a certain amount of Alan Moore's crotchetiness that's performative. Um
100%. 100%. You know, like everybody. Okay,
and
look.
and like I feel like they've made some swing and misses with Watchmen properties, but they've also done some really good things with Watchmen properties.
Sure.
And
I
I
mean,
kind of wonder how much more they might have done if they'd been more willing to go to the plate more often.
well, look. I mean, and the thing is like whatever happened, right? I remember right after Watchmen came out, the DC superheroes role-playing game was a going thing. And
Right.
Alan Moore wrote adventures and handbooks on how to use the Watchmen characters in that game. And or he was, I don't know if he wrote them, but he was involved in it. And
Involved in them.
he like that was it was in the source book. Look, I was pretty young when that came out, but it
Right.
was in that source book that I found out that Captain Metropolis and Hooded Justice were lovers. And I was like, what? What? And then I go back and I read it and I like when Hooded Justice is beating the hell out of the comedian, he's like, is this what you like? Is this what gets you off? I'm like, holy shit. You know, like that, like, it's the thing that anyway, but I mean, like, so, like, at some point, Alan Moore was all about, like, oh, sure, we can do some more things,
Right.
you know. And then, of course, he was like, but I thought I was going to get these characters back. And I'm like, they're making money. You're making money. You're getting your checks. I mean,
Right.
nobody stole it from you. This is the contract, right?
Right.
Um, it's not like Siegel and Schuster, you know, where when DC stopped paying them, DC stopped paying them, you know. Whatever. I don't know. I'm not gonna get into this because it's a long,
No, no, no.
involved
That's
rant
fine.
on my part about, having that artists need to be cognizant of the deals they make. Steve Ditko would tell you that.
I found it.
Hey,
I
good
found
morning,
a.
sunshine.
Good
I
morning.
actually found a comic book resources article on the Alan Moore sanctioned RPG
Yep.
books.
Anyway, we haven't even started talking about the books yet, Sean. So
Or barely. Yeah. So
Okay.
like, yeah, yeah.
we were talking
So
about Frank Miller and Alan Moore and everything else, waiting for you to
Jim
get here.
Steranko.
Jim Steranko.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Um, sorry, I kept you out so late.
Whew. I, yeah, no, I have no idea. I had my alarm not just gone off at 10:42, uh, which why
Did
I
you
have an
forget to
alarm.
set it for daylight savings time so that it could go off and at 9:42 and you could
Yeah,
make
that
the
that was it. No, I
Well, I am glad to see you here, my dear friend, because
thank
I
you.
actually was a little, I was like, boy, I hope nothing happened after I got in my cab. So anyway,
Yeah,
it is Chicago. It's Chicago.
that's the Chicago way.
This is where I'm going to make it abundantly clear for anybody watching. Statistically speaking, Chicago is not that dangerous of a city. I don't care what
A
they tell
hundred
you on
percent
Fox
true.
News.
It's 100% true. Like, stop talking about my city. You don't live here. I can make these
Right.
jokes. I live here.
Right. I want to make it abundantly clear because we get made out to be so damn and then they use the like gross murder total and it's like, uh-huh, out of 9 million people,
Well, I mean,
3,000 were murdered last
look,
year.
just because the new
We have to
pope,
go all the way to Gary, Indiana to find a murder rate that's like 3 times as high as ours.
just because somebody handed the new pope a hot dog with ketchup on it and he stabbed them 17 times,
I mean,
that doesn't have anything, like that's not typical.
if the
The
Pope does
Pope.
it, is it murder?
I believe so. Yes. I don't I don't think it says thou shalt not kill unless you're the pope. Anyway, so shall we talk about this month's uh
Yeah.
uh what
And
is it?
like you do totally play into the very first page of the very first issue with what we were just talking about with fandom. Um, that like what is it? That is the glorious thing about our movement, that these members are uniform, not only in ideas, but even the facial expressions is almost the same.
Hmm.
Adolf Hitler. And a page of very sheepish looking, dead in the eyes people agreeing with the great Godfrey, who reminds me of Arcade.
Shh,
Will
shh,
come later.
shh, shh. We don't
What?
talk about that. We don't talk about arcade looking like
Why?
that. Just cause. Just cause.
What? Just
Just
cuz?
cause. Just cause.
Okay.
Everybody
Okay.
stole everything from Kirby. No, I'm kidding.
Well,
Uh
yeah.
no, I think that you know, that like I guess we're jumping right to Forever People. And which is fine because I thought the Jimmy Olsen book was not all that interesting this month. But uh you know, it it in the like I think this is the book. The whole time I'm reading this book, I'm thinking about the Ronnie James Dio sung Black Sabbath tune "Mob Rules." If you listen to fools, the mob rules. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, the idea of mob mentality and like obviously Kirby has a direct experience with this sort of stuff. I mean, like, the German American Bund was apparently after him in the 30s and the 40s because of Captain America and
Right.
and And I think that it it as with most things with Kirby, it's incredibly simplistic and it's incredibly it gets a little over convoluted, but I mean, it's also really powerful. I mean, it really is. I remember there was a when I was reading this, the I took screenshots of a bunch of those panels and I put them up on Instagram, and I was like, it's always been the same. This has been going on forever, right?
Yeah,
And
I am
and
looking a lot at the yes, it is his gift to us friends, the cosmic hunting license, the right to
right,
point the finger, or the gun.
right. Well, I mean, and the thing is like, but I put these panels of Godfrey on Instagram, and they took them down because they were like, this is not
Hate
appropriate.
speech.
It's hate speech. And I'm like,
Wow.
wow, and I'm like, I think when I said, it's funny when you take a piece of art, it's sort of like what we're talking about. We were talking about Frank Miller and how, if you have something and it makes you angry or whatever, make a piece of art about it. It's not going to hurt a piece of art doesn't hurt anyone. Um, uh, and especially this where it's obviously but if you take it out of context, it can mean anything to anybody. But that's what art is, right? Art exists within a context and art is what it is. But I think that what Kirby does so brilliantly here is, you know, he creates these costumes for these guys, and the helmets, that make everyone one thing, right? And that's always what happens. And it's either you can say it's racial, you can say it's intellectual, you can say it's political, it's whatever, but the whole idea that everybody must be one thing is is something that clearly Kirby hates. And I think it's one of the I would honestly say I think this is this it's certainly the strongest issue of Forever People that we've had so
Hmm.
far. And I don't know. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think back to the last time I read Forever People. Like I've said, it's probably my least favorite of these series. Uh uh this may be the best issue of Forever People that there is. So I don't know. Somebody else talk. I've talked enough.
Yeah, I definitely felt this was, the best issue of Forever People that I have read uh, so far. Um, it felt like it felt like something that could have been written today.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was like, wow, if this were written today, I'd say, wow, this is very on the nose, right?
Right.
Um, so thinking of the 70s, but yeah, what you said, his experience with the Bund and you know, being in Europe, I
Yeah.
think really you see it here that just affected him. What everyone always says is that Jack's war stories were uh, on a personal level. That's when you knew Jack. He would start telling war stories,
Yeah.
and
Well, I mean, like, yeah, like it's sort of a given that
yeah,
everybody everybody knows that the defining thing in Jack's life was fighting in Europe.
right.
And the hardships he endured and the frostbite and all of the, uh but they he and Roz dealt with it in such a matter-of-fact way. It's that generation, like
Yeah.
I think that there's something magnificent about that, like when Roz found out that Jack, had terrible frostbite in his feet, and they were like, he might lose his legs. And Roz was like, what Roz said was, well, thank God it's not his hands. And, and when Jack would start telling his war stories, Roz would be like, I've heard them all. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I mean, like I think that there is something. Uh, he is. I think that, and I think that this does come down to the core of why he is doing this larger story, right? Is I think he is exorcising, not exercising, exercising a lot of things that he saw. I mean, I think that, um, I think that there's a lot of, I mean, like, I sometimes talk about like that Stan gave Jack humanity, but I think that there is, like I think Orion is 100% Jack. I think that is Jack. I think he sees himself as a uh, sort of an animal inside a human skin. Um, yeah, I mean the new God story with the Black Racer. I mean, I think that's part of like I think this whole month of these books, we see a lot of Jack exercising things from the war, and
Right.
I think that is fascinating.
Well, I think, back to Forever People still, I
Yeah.
think, um, you can't get away from the art in this issue. Um, just that the second to last page, that picture of Dark Side is like the iconic Dark Side we all seen.
Yeah.
I really like, um, and when Infinity Man is swimming through rock,
Yes.
right? That's a really cool image to me.
Hmm.
Um, and had they used Taru to as their magic word before? I didn't recall that.
Yeah. That's Taru's been in all the books. They
Okay.
never really uh every time they it I think in the earlier books you could have looked at it as some sort of weird sound effect when they
Okay.
transformed, it's but yeah, like, and I think that we talked about this last night. Excuse me, I'm about
So the word
to
is said, Taru. Right.
excuse me. I think that clearly there is a whole lot of CC Beck Captain Marvel in this. I
Yeah.
mean, uh, you know, right
I
down to
also
the
like, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I talking too
I
much.
mean, I was about to go on a slightly different bent, but just because I've been re-examining Godfrey the whole time we've been talking,
Yeah.
um, and like particularly this end sequence. It's like Godfrey is the charlatan that like has latched on to Darkseid and Desaad because he sees the profit in it and whatnot, and he thinks that they're in it for the same reason he is, which is just to like take this thing and rile people up and make money and personal power off of it. And like you see him realizing, oh, wait a minute, you guys want to do this. It's almost that Marco Rubio on the couch as JD Vance and Steve Miller rip into Zelensky.
Mm.
Like, wait a minute. I did you meant that?
Right. Well, I think that I am I almost think that narratively it might have been interesting if because maybe I missed this. Godfrey is a denizen of Apocalypse. I think it's very funny how they talk about everyone is, every the Apocalypse is full of like, conformity and all of this stuff. And but yet when we see the people in Dark Side Circle, they're all very different, you know. But it almost would have been interesting if Godfrey had been like if he'd had um
See, I guess I didn't realize he was from Apocalypse too,
yeah.
but I'm not always as good at picking that stuff up. I thought he
Well, I
was
mean,
like the Earthman who was adopting the whole kind of like we had the crazy mob syndicate that was tied into
right.
dark
I
side.
mean, I was thinking
He's
like
like the
Morgan.
preacher man
What
tied into dark side.
like I'm wondering if it might not have been more interesting and more cohesive if like Morgan Edge had been the one instead of Godfrey. Or
Right.
we haven't met him yet, but Funky Flashman. Like there's a lot of Funky Flashman in Godfrey, so but I mean, yeah. But I mean,
But yeah, and I just saw
Godfrey
the
is he's the face man, so he's Darkseid's probably like we have to have one good looking guy.
right.
Not
Well,
everybody can
he's
look like
literally doing like a tent revival here.
sure,
Yeah.
100%.
You know,
And I mean, it's
I,
very, I mean, I don't know where we were with televangelism in the early 70s, but,
I don't know if we'd gotten hardcore into it, but it came out of some really, really popular tent revivalists, and um Jack would have lived through Father Coughlin,
yeah. Well, I mean,
you
he probably.
know.
I'm sure you
and we're
had.
speaking from the town that Billy Sunday couldn't shut down.
Right,
Mhm. Well, I mean, and obviously, Billy Graham was around, so.
right.
Yeah.
Although
And hadn't realized
I think
the
that
the
Billy Graham
wrath
is.
that he had. Billy,
Yeah, I
I'll
mean,
give Billy Graham a little bit of credit for like somewhat denouncing himself later in his life, but it
well,
took him
yeah,
a
I mean,
long time to.
I think Billy Graham sort of represented a kinder, gentler kind of take, certainly a more Christian take on.
I think he wanted to,
Yeah,
and
I
most of
mean,
the time did.
yeah. Anyway,
I come from the land of the
interesting,
Billy Graham Center, Wheaton, Illinois.
in, interesting. I'm actually very the cover of this Forever People is kind of fascinating to me. Because it's another one of the photo covers, but
Yeah,
the photo part is basically just sort of like a cloud or something.
right.
And it's interesting. I'm always the whole idea that like what is Jack thinking when he does this? It's like, oh, I'll just put this kind of nebulous image in the background. And
He's thinking, I don't want to draw a background.
I he, probably, I mean, I'm not gonna
It's
argue
time to
that.
move on to the next book.
That's right.
I mean, speed did matter to him.
Speed matters to everyone.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think it's sometimes dangerous to assume that every part of every piece of art meant something to the artist to begin with, but
Well,
the
yeah, no,
faster they're working, the
well, no,
more true it might be.
I think that there is a ton, like I 100% agree with that. I think that there's a lot of stuff that Jack does, in these books, especially all through his 70s work, where it's like, okay, how do I do this faster and more efficiently? And save myself some work. I think that's why, you know, you would never see, like, Jack would never do the Steve Ditko 9 panel page, you know?
Nobody
That,
got time for that.
what'd you say?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
That's right. I mean, and granted, also his style suggests like splash pages and large panels. So I'm not knocking him for that, but I mean, like, clearly it also allowed him to work faster, right?
Well, I think actually like he's known for his 6 panel pages at Marvel, and he still does 6 panel pages here, but he does way more 4 panel pages.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, he
But
plays with his panel layouts a little bit more, period.
right.
Um, but he's much more willing to go do 3 and 4 panel pages or pages that are essentially split into four and worked from there
Right. No, I
rather
think that,
than so yeah. I mean, that's just my agreeing that his
yeah.
style is action packed enough that he prefers to give himself more space. And I mentioned earlier that I'd read through, and it really, I should say, looked through because there was so many words that I chose not to read them because they weren't part of what I was looking at. I'll go back and read them. Those the Strange Tales Nick Fury stories that
Uh-huh.
Kirby laid out, and that's where I noticed that, like, as much as Jack is still wordy in his own work, the word balloons take up way less space than some of the stuff. I
Right.
mean, there were so many panels that I was looking at, and I'm sitting there going, there is so much good artwork being covered up in this panel that it's not even funny.
I
And
just a
that's where
little.
I can also understand not wanting to do anything with the background. You're just going to put a word balloon there anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I have no doubt that cover is just simply like, you know what? Let's just take this photo I found in the newspaper and put it in the background.
Right.
Nobody will know. And it's like, okay, but it's interesting. Another just little funny thing, the final panel of the final page, is that is that the Serenity from Firefly?
It does look like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That that just struck me as I was flipping through it.
I mean, except for the fact that it's clearly smaller because, like, it's more of a Fantastic car.
That's what I was just thinking. Yeah.
There's a guy whose head's sticking out
Shh.
of it.
It's not the Fantastic Car.
Well, it's not the Fantastic car because the Fantastic car has four downward facing jets. Duh.
Well, it does have the two little seats on the, for when it splits off. Anyway, but yeah, no,
But yeah, if you made that bigger, that would be the Serenity.
the the this is the one month where I can say, quite honestly, I think Forever People is the best book in this month.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it really does seem to be addressing the social issue of using faith and conformity
Yep.
for evil.
Sure. I mean,
Um,
yeah, it's
which I imagine was, I mean, as we were talking earlier, he had the American Bund after him for Captain America, and then
sure.
he went and like
Well, I
served in
mean,
Germany,
I I think that especially in the early 70s, there was a whole, that was a big undercurrent of like freedom of expression and freedom of, like you got THX, you got
Well, and this
you got
is,
Logan's runs a little later, but I mean, like that was Easy Rider, all of these things. It's like we want to be free of conformity, right?
but also as comics are so often ahead of the curve, as he had been with Captain America, um, Nixon won by a lot in 72. How
Sure.
much was he already seeing, you know, racist dog whistles, whatnot, being framed as law and order or religious whatever? Um, I mean, what level of intentional or subconscious commentary is there um,
Yeah.
going on to? I mean, for that matter, again, even on the cover, the live by my rules or die.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think this is the clearest distillation of the anti-life uh, equation that we've seen,
Right.
or at least what it can do.
Yeah. I mean, I still think that anti-life or the anti-life equation is still like so nebulous. It seems like it's just anything that's evil, right? Or
But it feels like it takes away your it's basically taking away your willpower,
individual.
your
Yeah.
individuality.
Yeah.
Life has pitfalls. Anti-life is protection.
Right.
Remind me a little bit of The Prisoner. The signs that they have. You can
Yeah.
justify anything with anti-life. Because this was to me, this is satire. This issue.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that
Well, burning the books
life
in the
has
library.
life
No
has
one's more qualified to burn your books than I am.
right. But like you talk about life has pitfalls, right?
Yeah.
Anti-life is protection, and like uh, every every and I know I sort of have this sort of like attitude of like let's look at this from all sides, but everybody is all about protection these days. It's like I want to be protected from this, I want to be protected from that, I want to be, I don't want things that make me uncomfortable, I don't want things that make me feel gross or whatever. And I do it, we all do it, right? It's
I'll
when
settle for not having to worry about getting shot.
sure, but but like but it's sort of like what we're talking about, like what we were talking about before, Tad, when we were talking about like Star Wars and stuff, and like
Yeah.
don't watch it, right?
Yeah.
Like if this concept bothers you, great, then just
And
like there's no
I
there's no
mean,
law that says every piece of content in the world, and fuck, I just said the word fucking content, I hate it,
right.
but that like that has to be for you, right?
Right.
Everybody is talking about, if everybody is talking about whatever, if everybody is talking about the forever people, right? And you are like, well, I really just that makes me really upset, and it really, like then you don't have to be part of that conversation. Like just because everybody else is talking about it doesn't mean that you have to be able to be part of that
Right.
conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that uh
Or defend your own. I mean, like
yeah,
you brought up
find
Star
your own
Wars again.
thing. Yeah, find
But you
your
brought up Star Wars again. And like one of the most interesting riffs that I see in Star Wars are the people who are upset that the old expanded universe has been redubbed Legends.
Sure.
I fall into a very small camp that thinks that the fact that it was redubbed Legends rather than retconned is actually brilliant. Because we have so much legend and so much fact when it comes to history or whatever. But beyond all of that, you can decide that it's your Star Wars
Sure.
universe.
Yeah. I mean, I think I mean, like, we're kind of getting off the point because obviously that what Kirby is talking about is a totalitarian state,
Right.
or an attempt at a
Right.
totalitarian state. But I'm just saying
And yeah, we don't
that
quite get to decide the state.
I think, every time I see things, I always think about my own, and honestly, my own feelings of, like, if I could just make people do this, it'd be great, right? And how insidious that thought process is, and
That's
and
that's
what
exactly what Kirby is
yeah, exactly, yeah,
displaying here.
yeah,
Is how many people can be brought into
by
whatever,
yeah,
but by suggesting, hey, you know that feeling you have that feels a little bit icky, where you just wish that you could make other people do what you. It's not icky. It's
yeah,
powerful. It's right. We should
right.
do
Well, and the
it.
thing is like that, the ultimate end of that no one ever gets to is that pretty soon, uh, the people who are under Godfrey, right, who are listening to Godfrey, they're going to realize, well, he's telling those people the exact same thing he's telling us,
Right.
right? That, like, so it's not like no one, somebody is always going to lose, right?
Yeah.
Somebody, right? So I mean, God, I don't even know what the hell point I'm making anymore. But all I know is, this is a really great book, and it is a really
Yeah.
powerful book, and it is Kirby at his best. The
This
writing is tighter.
yes.
It's still got a little. It still gets a little
He's
like,
not a writer.
what the fuck are you
He
talking about? But I mean,
right.
but like it's an excellent
I,
example of something we talk about in theater, which is,
right.
if your theme is strong, if you understand what your story is about, you can almost say anything and the audience will follow you,
Right.
right?
I mean, it's not an original thought about Kirby. It's not even an original thought on this air. So
Yeah.
much of Kirby's work could have been made so much better by not even a writer necessarily, as a scripter and an editor.
Well, I mean,
People he
I mean,
trusts, and it's completely understandable why
sure,
he pushed against that.
right.
But
Yeah, totally understandable. But it is like, and again, it's just
but if he'd had
it.
just a little bit more understanding of his own strengths and weaknesses, and like this can be said of with the Star Wars theme that has been running through us, this can be said about George Lucas too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think most people think that the best of the movies that he was involved in are Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and they have the advantage of not having been written or directed by him.
I would disagree with that, but I'm one of the weird people who wishes that the original Star Wars was the only Star Wars.
And that's fair as well.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, look, that's kind of getting
but I
like,
think he's a better storyteller than he. I mean, what I'm really saying is I think that it's very clear to me that Lucas is a great overall storyteller. He is fantastic with effects, and he's going to do well with the overall vision. He's not as into the nitty gritty of screenwriting or directing actors.
oh, just do that,
So
George.
if he had
You
hired
know,
somebody to do those things,
George, you can type this shit, but you can't. You don't have to say it. No, I think there's so, like, look, there's a lot of people who like to claim that Lucas lifted all of this for Star Wars, right? All of the fourth world. I don't. I think that there's a lot that they're
I
both,
think it's relatively clear that he'd read the fourth world. That's as far as
I
I'll go.
I mean, like I think that he was aware of a lot of sci-fi and stuff,
I mean,
and as
just
well
like
as
there are a lot of people who like to say he lifted the whole thing from Hidden Fortress 2, and I will
sure,
say that it's relatively clear that he'd seen and loved Hidden Fortress.
sure. Yeah, no, I mean, like
Right.
everything comes from somewhere,
Right.
right? But I mean, I do think that the comparison of Kirby to Lucas is a very valid one. I mean, like I
Yeah.
think that they're visual thinkers. They are not. uh, I think the difference is that every time you talk to George Lucas, he's like, "Well, I'm not a very good writer," and I think Kirby thought he was a good writer,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think that I am also I also am struck, and like it's hard to talk about Jack, especially in this period, without talking about Stan. But I mean, like
Right.
Stan, I remember it was in the 80s, somebody was asking Stan about Jack's work at DC, and he's like, I wish Jack had brought that to me because I think we could have really done something with that. And you know
Right.
what? I think that these books would have been possibly more popular
Yeah.
if because and look, and again, Kirby
But I
people,
also
I really do believe that these books did not sell as well as they wanted them
no,
to.
no.
And that's
I'm
just the
certain
way
that
it
they
is.
didn't. They wouldn't have canceled them.
Yeah,
They
like
would have gone
why would you
longer.
cancel these books if
Yeah.
they were making money?
No.
It's like people don't
No,
do shit
I am
just because they
certain
want to
that what
piss Jack off. Um,
whether it was because they paid him more and therefore needed to sell more to reach that or whatnot, I am certain that if they're making any money at all, they don't cancel these books.
Well, here's an even better thing that I would say. Look, because I always talk about this in relation to these books, is that I think Jack left Marvel at a really bad time for him to leave Marvel, because like what was happening at DC was we've got Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams coming up,
Right.
which we were talking about very realistic artwork,
Hmm.
very very ripped from the headlines sort of writing, and very not I'm going to use the word not comic booky sort of storytelling was coming. It was the first round of the comic books aren't just for kids.
Right.
And
Well,
and
the
I think that
first post Wortham round.
sure, yeah. um but uh and I think that these books felt, and I when we read them, they feel like there's a very early Silver Age, very golden age kind of feel to them, where shit just happens, right?
Right.
And uh it is one of those things where what if what like can you imagine this issue of Forever People if in fact Jack would have felt comfortable enough to let Denny O'Neil
Yeah.
do the dialogue?
Well, I was
Like,
even
I think
thinking
it would have been amazing.
if we
Yeah.
were going among the more um cosmic of the era, if Jim Starlin or Steve Gerber or any of the weird guys had been able to do the dialogue, it could have massively changed the
Yeah.
quality of the book.
Yeah. I think so.
And I'm not even talking like the plotting or the whatnot. I'm talking Jack gives them this book
Yeah.
and asks them to clean up the dialogue,
Yeah.
like script doctor type clean
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
the dialogue.
No,
Um,
I mean, and there's some indication
that's
that
true of a lot of what we've read so far,
yeah,
is
yeah.
that all it really needed was a good script doctor to hell. Let's just go get Carrie Fisher.
yeah. Who
Wait, she
yeah.
wasn't doing it yet.
Or Tom Stoppard.
She was only 11.
Guys, hang on just a second. I got to jump off for a half a second, okay?
All right. I'll
Right.
talk to Sean. I talked to
Yeah.
Mark for a long time without Sean.
So this would have been right around the time that Carrie Fisher was in the Ringo Starr video for
Sounds about right.
"You're 16, You're Beautiful in Your Mind." So, uh, but yeah, I this was, to me,
I guess
again,
she would have been 15 when this came out.
15. Okay.
Maybe 14 because she was born in October. What month was this? This was June of 71. So yeah, she would have been 14 when this came out. I don't know. She might have been able to be. I mean, that's a year older than Shooter when he started writing.
Right.
Maybe Carrie Fisher would have been the right script doctor.
All right, here's what's going to happen.
She would have been a year older than Shooter.
And
Black
already on
Racer. Only
amphetamines.
you could be so bold.
And she lived in Southern California. If only they'd bumped into each other.
Oh, it looks like I'm going to be in LA in early August, and I'm going to get to go to that Kirby,
Oh, Skirball?
the Skirball.
Nice.
So I'll take some pictures.
Very cool.
It goes through March.
Yeah, March of next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe maybe I'll find another time to go out too. Maybe, but yeah. I'm thinking I'm not there very long, but I think I'm gonna go to the Skirball, and then I might go back down to Thousand Oaks and go out and make a pilgrimage back to the graves, and maybe go find stands too. So
I discovered recently that there is a comic shop slash pinball arcade in LA that is now on my list of places that I need to go because it looks really cool.
uh anyway, so
So we want to move on to the other books.
yeah, I was thinking that. I mean, like, really, the Forever People was the best book of this month, which is great. It's nice to have that be a high point for me. But yeah, I think the other books are equally interesting. Or not equal.
Can I get the bad hot take out of the way on New Gods before before we get into the actual good stuff, which is Jack, by making a skier in the air that doesn't actually completely like solidify your I created the Silver Surfer case. And can we please have a black hero that's not called Black something?
Look, you're 100% right. 100% right.
That's just my hot take based on the cover and the first page.
I'm going to tell you this right now. We could have had the Coal Panther instead of the Black Panther, and I don't know if that would be better or worse.
It could have just been the Panther.
Hey, man. I'm not going to argue with Jack Kirby, but again, okay, we do have.
But at least a Black Panther is a thing.
It's true.
I mean, that's better than like Black Lightning.
I mean, yeah, I know.
Not to be confused with George Jones's White Lightning.
Right. Here's our new podcast. 3 middle-aged white guys talk about naming conventions of black superheroes.
Like I said, it's my hot take that I just want to get out of the way now.
Black Racer is like, I love the idea of this this soldier who is paralyzed and bedridden and unable to move or speak or anything, and him becoming some sort of heroic character. I think that is, I think, again, when we're talking about how there seems to be a lot of this month, Jack must have had some feelings about the war come up, right?
Right.
And I think that's a great hook for Jack. When I was a kid, the first time I ever saw an image of the Black Racer was in DC Comics Who's Who, right? Which was their kind of version of the handbook for the Marvel universe, where it would like
Right.
each page would be a character, and I looked at the drawing of that character and I thought that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I hadn't read it. That I don't think it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life now, but I do think that as a conceptualization, this feels really B team to me. And like the character in itself is kind of interesting. I like the fact that he like it never like the other thing is that it's death, right? Right.
Right.
It's death, right? But in this book, it never really quite says that. Like he's chasing Light Ray, Oblivion. I face Oblivion. And it's like, okay. Uh, like, and I think again, as we were talking about, where other creators have taken these things and done more with them, I think that other people have done more with the Black Racer. But again, I also don't think that this character is used all that often, if I remember. When New Gods.
No, though I am looking through its history and it's been brought back in some interesting ways.
Yeah.
Um,
I
including
don't.
in Final Crisis and New 52.
Well, it's certainly like a useful character for like DC mythology to have this character that is death, right? I mean, anytime you need somebody to be outrunning death, like it's funny, like if
Yeah, I mean, I'm
if
looking
somebody
at the
wanted, if
Wikipedia look at list of his abilities, and he's a badass.
yeah,
Immortality, infinite super speed, supercharged brain activity, vibration to phase through objects, time travel by running faster than the speed of light, enhanced super strength, endurance, reflexes, agility, and stamina, creation of vortexes, electrokinesis, dimensional travel, time manipulation, flight via cosmically powered skis, intangibility, touch of death, wears cosmic armor and skis, energy projection and absorption, matter manipulation, invulnerability, illusion casting, and cosmic perceptions and senses. I mean, that's one hell of a badass character.
well, I mean, but that's like in a lot of ways, that's like every character in these books.
Yeah, I get it.
Um, they do whatever Jack needs them to at any given moment.
That's right.
I mean, I'm also like, if somebody was, if by some miracle somebody was to come in and say, "Hey, Mark, you want to write the Flash?" I'd be like, "All right, he's going to be chased by the Black Racer," and I'm like, "All right, like I can do something with that." It's like, but like I there. It's kind of a dumb looking character if you ask me, right? Like,
And funny that you mentioned that because the Black Racer appears in issue number 2 of the Flash Rebirth, I think, or Final
yeah, I remember that.
Crisis,
Yeah, yeah.
pursuing Barry Allen the Flash.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thanks, Metron, right? You know, Metron brings him to Earth.
That's
Like,
true.
like, come on, man.
I
Well,
do think though that
How does
like the
that work?
idea that we're gonna go from surfing to skiing is
well, look, I think that this whole issue has this sort of, you know, like clearly Jack Jack obviously like he created characters of color on several occasions, right? I think that he did want to like, and I think that it was a mercenary idea. I think he did think, oh man, maybe I could sell more books if I, you know, put a character of color in here. Great. Uh, Diversity for financial gain. I mean, it's still diversity, right? But there is so much in this book that I'm like, this is a middle-aged white guy in California writing about inner city black people. And And like the Sugar Man is like, whoa.
I'm your sugar man.
It's like he watched Shaft
But
and he was like, I got this now.
yeah,
But I don't know. I think that, and this is another one of those books where, and this happens in New Gods quite a bit, I think, where it's like, okay, ostensibly this book is about Orion being on Earth and fighting the forces of Apocalypse, right? But then it seems like like that there's always like, let's introduce another new god, right? And that the book becomes sort of about that, a new god. And you're sort of sitting there going like, well, I was kind of into this whole Orion fights the forces of Darkseid, you know? And that seems to be a real ancillary point here. Plus, man, this Orion thing. Oh, Jack. Your name will be Orion. I think that's funny, don't you? Not really. No, thanks.
I mean, that's my favorite constellation, so like doesn't bother me.
Yeah, but your favorite combination is not O apostrophe Ryan.
That's
It's
I said constellation, not
oh,
combination.
sorry, I misspoke.
Don't get me wrong, it would be cooler
it's
if
the
he had
Irish
had a different name than Orion and became Orion.
Yeah,
Maybe
I think
Ohula.
I think that they should have taken this exact same character and named him Cassiopeia.
Ah, there you go.
I am Cassiopeia. I anger, I feel, I fight. Anyway, um, but yes, no. To Sean's point, yeah, like thanks, Metron. What like
Yeah,
I'm gonna
like
save you, Light Ray, by sending this guy directly to a planet that has very little hope of stopping him in any way. And I don't know. I mean, some of page 10, that splash page. I mean, that is a great Kirby splash page,
right.
but it's also like, yeah, okay. It's the Black Racer. I don't know. I don't
Yeah, no,
I
I liked a lot of this comic. Um, and then the parts that were too silly were almost like truly too silly,
sure.
if that makes sense.
What you I the actually like the whole motivation for the Sugar Man to try to kill Willie Walker. It's always got to be the liberation, right?
Right.
Um it's like, okay,
I think
here's this
he'd want to
guy.
get away from that after leaving Stan.
Yeah, but but like it's this guy. Okay, so he kills this guy outside the window. There's a guy inside who can't move. He can't turn his head. He can't speak. But he's like, oh, I'm gonna have to get rid of this guy. He might talk. It's like, what? It's some of the motivations. I'm just like, okay,
But as always, the artwork is fantastic.
as
The
always, yeah.
Absolutely.
I would, and it's another one of those speed things, so I don't get too upset. I wish he had more male faces. He seems to have a slightly bigger variety of female faces, possibly because he doesn't have to draw as many of them.
Right.
Um,
Now, I page
I love
13.
it when we get like uh uh Chester Gould-esque character, like this guy with the cigar, the bald guy with the cigar on page 16, 17 and 18, the guy in the
Yeah.
green suit. You know, every once in a while he'll like really do up a face different.
Oh yeah.
but so many of the faces are just that angular Reed Richards. This is my face.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that he's got his heroic face, and then he's got his, and obviously drawing villains and I will say, like when we get to Mr. Miracle, that book was a uh, cornucopia of great whacked out phases. I was having a blast with that. Um, I was going to say page 13, the upper right panel. Oh man, that's great. Where the black racer is reaching out to him and it's just the face and the hand. I'm like, that's great. That is super Kirby, uh, dynamic image, dynamic pose. And it's not like it's not even a full body. It's just like this. Yeah, I love it. Um, yeah, I just can't get over it. I think it's just so silly. Oh, he's flying skis. It's got flying
Yeah,
skis.
yeah. I mean that, and in some ways, I have to say that like that particular decision just kind of overshadows so much of this book.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just a silly,
I think
you know,
even roller skates would have been better.
the thing about it is like a lot of people have pointed out that it seems like you know, Jack's original idea for the surfer was that he was this avenging angel, right? So that the Black Racer, mm, might be a storehouse for some similar ideas, right?
Right.
Um, but just the design of the character, like the surfer is so it just pops and it's
Right.
nothing, right? It's a white naked guy on a white
Right.
surfboard, right?
Right.
But it's
Whereas he
he's
just does too much here.
yeah, it's like there's like, uh, uh, it's like
Because of the
one
skis,
color
you add
too
the
many.
ski poles, and then there's I mean the cape is unnecessary.
Yeah.
Um, Even with
But
the cape, you've then got exactly one color too many.
yeah, I mean, like the helmet it's
Right. Right.
like it was like the cleanliness of the surfer
Part of what makes it.
is what makes it interesting,
Right.
really. I mean,
Right.
it's almost like in acting we do mask work, right? Where you put on a neutral mask and then through your body motion, the audience starts to imbue your face, this blank face with character, right? And in a way, the surfer is like that. And I think that that's
Hmm.
why Stan loves him. I think that's why
Hmm.
people love him because you can put whatever you want. This
Right.
is just so like there's so much, and I'm just
Right.
like I don't. What is
So
this?
I do want to call out this is a particularly good photo background cover.
Yes, I'll 100% tell you that. At
Yeah.
least I know what the background is.
Well, and
Uh,
it totally fits the pictures. So it's
yes.
not just having, I mean, in some ways, as we just look at the covers of, if you
Oh
look
yeah.
at the Mr. Miracle cover and how much of it is just yellow, I
Mhm.
Yeah.
think I think that that's essentially what the Forever People photo background
Oh
is
yeah, no,
rather
no,
than
no.
just choosing a color, we're going to choose this. I mean, honestly, I am willing to bet that that is an overly zoomed in on something.
Oh, 100%,
Yeah.
100%. I think like it's obviously just a graphic
Right.
decision. But it's just like it's funny because like to me, I'm like I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, you could have just made the whole thing blue or whatever, and it
Well,
would
I
have
think
been.
it's supposed to kind of imply them floating in space or in between dimensions or whatnot, which they do a little bit of in this issue. At
What,
least that's the way I read it.
you couldn't find a picture of the night sky then? What's the matter here? What's going on here? What's going on? Anyway.
Well, but like they weren't floating in like that space. They were like in between like apocalypse and Earth type space. So,
Sure. Actually, you know what's funny? Now that I'm looking at this cover, I love the sheer uh bullshit chutzpah of this blurb. It, is he after Orion or you? Run, run, death is the Black Racer. Okay, first of all, this is the only place where it suggests that the Black Racer is death, which is fine. But unless I've totally had a brain hemorrhage or something over the last 2 days, the Black Racer is neither after Orion or us.
Or the guy in the car.
Or the guy in the car. Yeah. He's after Light Ray at one point, and then with all of his powers, it seems like even though they boom tuned him to Earth, if he was really after Light Ray, just go back. Yeah. But it also does ask like, is, again, this is where I can go down a rabbit hole with this and Jack Kirby stuff. Okay, so is Light Ray marked for death? Has the cosmic you know roulette wheel come up with his number? If that's the case, shouldn't he, like, it's like Final Destination, right? Shouldn't the Black Racer constantly be after Light Ray? Or is it just like, oh, you cheated death once, you're good until the next time,
Right.
The logic of it, I mean, like, it's comic books. It doesn't have to be.
And
it can be
and
comic book logic, but I'm still like,
I brought this up earlier. Sean, have you read Copra?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
This might be
Joe?
something that we'll have to play with at some point. I just finally read the first volume of Mikhail Fife's, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, Copra, which is a book that's been going on at Image for a while and is wrapping up. And one of the things that he talked about with it is he essentially, the constraint he put on himself was to work at Kirby speed. Um, so I think something that needs to be um appreciated about Kirby is that sometimes he is figuring out on the fly and he might not
sure,
know exactly what to do, but he's got to get these pages done.
yeah,
Um, so, uh, you know,
yeah. No,
I try not to discount him too much for that, I guess.
no. I think that that's 100% true. And look, we talked about it last time. It's like jazz, right?
Right.
He's just improvising, and I appreciate that. But I do, it does lead me to ask these questions. It's
Oh
like,
yeah. Well, but I think that's also why it's so beautiful. When we're through this, I know we've talked about a few different options for where to go next, but like one of them I think should be exploring some of the things that have come out of the fourth world um since then, just because he's working in jazz, because he's coming up with ideas that he doesn't always know what to do with, but he's
right.
still putting out there. It gives people the ability to do things with them.
Sure.
I think.
I mean, and we've actually talked. I mean, like, I think, Mark Evanier has said that Jack's original idea was that he was going to create all these books and then turn them over to other people, and then he would be the editor of the line, essentially. And I don't know. I think there was I think in the early '80s when it might have been Denny O'Neil, but Steve Englehart wrote a New Gods book, and then of course the Great Darkness Saga, of course, and
Right.
I mean, like, there's all sorts of places we could go with this in terms of
Right.
uh, you know.
Well, but I mean, what the analogy I was going to
we need to get through this first.
Well, yeah. The analogy I was going to use, though, is one of the things that makes Amazing Fantasy 15 such a perfect story is that not only does the entire mythos of Spider-Man, as well as like all of the like character reference that would be needed for the next 50 years,
Right.
come out of one 11-page story. There is no aspect of that 11-page story that hasn't inspired another story. There's a
Mhm.
one shot issue of a comic about the kid who said, "Hey mom, look, that man is climbing the wall."
Right.
you know. Um so there's a lot to be said for putting out ideas, running with the ones that work for you, but allowing the other ones to sit in case they inspire someone else.
Yep. Okay.
It's definitely I'm appreciating Kirby more and more as each one of these go, because I'm seeing the visual version of um my favorite kind of storytelling, which is what I call messy in the best way.
Hmm.
Which, acknowledges that not every part of the story needs to be streamlined towards the end, that the end is only an ending, not the ending, unless you're destroying the universe. Um,
Right.
so
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think I I mean, I think yes, 100%. Yeah. I think I was just gonna say I just looked at the time and like at a certain point here I'm gonna have to start.
No, I was about to say let's try to move into other books so that
Yeah, yeah.
at the
I
very
mean,
least you
look,
can say the stuff that you wanted to say about the
I think I'm
Mr.
gonna be
Miracle.
I'm gonna be really honest. Uh there was absolutely nothing about the Jimmy Olsen book this week or this month that caused me to want to have anything to say about it. I don't know
Like
if you
some of
guys
the
felt.
visuals, but the story itself.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that.
So yeah,
He
I
looks
mean, there are
great.
some really cool visuals, but
yes.
this is the one that accidentally made me may or this is along the lines of what made me say those words that Mark will never let me forget, and therefore I will not say them again. Um, so
The
yeah,
words
no,
don't matter. The words don't matter. Anyway, no, but I mean, like aside from
that
there's
was
a couple.
that was in a certain context.
I know. But aside from like, there's the double splash page with the photo collage
I
that was
liked
sort of
that.
interesting. It was pretty cool. There's some
Yeah,
really egregious redraws of Superman's face in this. Uh,
definitely.
uh, but it just like
Yeah,
Morgan
it
Edge.
wasn't much.
I mean, we got Morgan. There's the Morgan Edge, basically consigning an entire city to death, so he can get away. Um, you know, I oh yeah, okay, that's right. There was a nuclear reactor that was melting down, and Superman had to put the rods into it. Uh, but yes, although I have to admit, I am looking forward to the next issue of Jimmy Olsen. Man, are you ready for this? Two Rickles, Don Rickles. That'll be fun. I mean, like I don't know. I feel like I don't feel like Jack's heart was in the Jimmy Olsen book really, right? I think it I think it was something they wanted him to do, one of the flagship characters, and he did it. So, and then they redrew the heads. So I don't know. That's my bottom line on those books, and it's probably uh I'm looking forward to the Don Rickles two-parter, but that's It's
Um, so Mr. Miracle, which gives us our first major Kirby cliffhanger
Right.
yes.
in these books.
Yep.
And one of the coolest, I mean, I know I'm skipping to the end of the issue and we'll go backwards, but you're short on time and I don't want to miss it.
Oh
But
no,
like
yeah.
the final page here is one of the coolest images,
Yes.
pages, etc. that I have ever seen Kirby draw.
No,
Um,
I think this whole book visually is fucking killer, right?
right,
Like the faces of the people under the paranoid pill are astounding. Like just like the it's true, like he could truly draw madness. Like
right,
and but you're right, like that last page is incredible.
yeah.
And it's
Well, and it's go ahead.
no, and it's funny because it's like uh, there's not a ton of detail. It's sort of just like it's almost abstract, right? Like
But
when
then there's just enough to really,
right. I mean, like yeah, like where they're looking down the center of the building, right?
right,
And like of course, like once you've set the couple of floors below, then he knows I can just draw squares all the way down.
right.
Everybody will know what that is. And then
So
like
he throws in heads a little bit more than
yeah,
and like you would automatically expect.
right. But then like when the crate is falling, like it's totally just
Right.
squares. Like there's
Well, because
nothing.
it's a different angle now.
Right. I mean, and also it gives you it
Right.
also gives you the sense of it's falling, so there's no like
Right.
you don't
Right.
get the
Right.
detail anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean like Jesus, the page on page 20, the lower left panel, those faces, like
Yeah.
those guys, they're just like
Well, for that
man.
matter, even the guy pulling the cables in the top panel on that page.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean,
Um,
and the thing about it is like this I mean like it really is Kirby at the best because like there isn't really one of those big like Kirby cosmic panels that he does, but what it is, it's a master class in Jack showing you how to do action, right? Because that's all it is. It's I mean like really this story is superhero Die Hard essentially, right?
right.
Or the Raid. Oh, there's somebody else who stole something from Kirby. You got to get to the bottom of the building, right? Um, but like from the minute he hits that building, it is it is just rolling and it never lets up, you know. It amused me. The building looks a little bit like the Baxter building to me, which kind of cracked me up. Uh, but yeah, like the second he starts down, it's like it's I love that when he gets on the aero discs and he's flying over everybody's head. It's just like boom, 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 and we're not going to stop. And like uh, when I was reading it, like you know, Sean and I like to talk about like I like books that I can't read a book in 5 minutes.
Right.
But I mean,
Right.
with this one, once we hit that page, once I hit page 16 where he flew over their heads, I was like, bang, 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 bang. I think I read the whole rest of the book in like 2 minutes, just because
Right.
it was like, yeah. And
S-
sorry, now I'm on a roll, but
No, no,
like
no. Go for it.
we talk about the Kirby faces, right? But this also has like some really great emotional moments, like page 17, the lower left, when the guy pulls the gun on Mr. Miracle and Mr. Miracle gives him like the side eye, and it's really evocative and it's really top notch. Um, who's the anchor on this? Uh,
Like
it's Coletta still.
what? Yeah.
I mean, I
What?
know Royer comes in at some point here. I can't remember what issue. but I'm looking forward to that. I mean, Jesus Christ, the guy in the lower right on page 18, like you just, it's not, it's not necessarily Dick Tracy, but man, like those faces are just, like it's like horror book shit. It's
Yeah.
great.
Right. So what I was going to bring up, um, and like this is literally top of my head, so like I'm curious as to what other things you guys will come up with, but the 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 power to make everybody go crazy via gas or powder or cell phone signal or whatnot is a way more common trope in comics than I like had fully recognized. I bring this up just because again in things that I have done this week that unexpectedly tied into Kirby. I've been revisiting David Mazzucchelli Daredevil, and issue 222 has him and Black Widow in the swamp with a Dr. Sod who has um, altered the fear formula from I forget who the guy that has the fear formula in the Marvel universe is right now in such a way as to make people fight rather than just be afraid. Um,
Well,
and
I
we
mean,
have that here. We have it's a key component of Kingsman, you know.
like it's Kirby Return to. I mean, like you could legitimately say that the Glorious Godfrey stuff is the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
The Mad Bomb storyline in Captain America is 100% that. Like, I
right.
think that Kirby was very aware that people could be manipulated
Yeah,
and I think that it's certainly like, and it's, it's always when we talk about it, that being a common trope in comics, I mean, of course it is. Everybody likes to feel like you are the one person who understands what's going on, right?
right.
And that everybody else is being controlled or manipulated. Like that is a recurring thing in humanity, in society, in America, in the world. Like everybody wants to think that they're the ones who know what's going on, or the ones standing strong. And I yeah, I mean, like in terms of this story, like I make the joke about it being, Kirby's Die Hard, but it sort of is. I mean, like, what's that story? Is like there's John McClane trapped in the building. He's trying to call the cops. Nobody will listen to him. It's like he's the one guy who knows what's going on and the one guy who can do something about it, right? And the world is against him, and that I think that people who, comic book readers always like that idea that the world is against me and that, you know, yeah, fantastic book. And you're right. It's the first big cliffhanger, almost literal cliffhanger.
Oh yeah,
Uh, I did, the one thing I loved actually, and it goes with the jazz because obviously it was just like keep keep shit happening, is when they're like, we need to poke holes in this box
right.
so he doesn't suffocate, so that when we throw it, like then like
So he can
before the
die when he hits
Right.
rather
yeah,
than
it's like, okay, uh
well,
yeah, we
I am
can't
gonna
let him
say
suffocate until we decide what to do with him. And it's like, okay, well, if you're gonna just kill him, what's the anyway?
I am gonna say that that is as good a time as any to wrap up. Any final thoughts, Mr. Harklerode, Mr. Pratt?
I just hope
Read
he
more
gets out of it.
Kirby.
But
I just hope he gets out of it next
me
month.
too. I mean, I feel like it's likely,
I
but
feel like the mother
but
box, the mother box is going to do something.
yeah. But it's always possible that like the Scot-free of this era is just a different Scot-free from that era. And, I haven't read these before, so I mean, maybe not.
Well, and to like
I
when you
think
look at
Big Barty is going to catch him.
Big Barda is coming. Big
Big
Barda.
Barda is great.
Big
Big
Barda.
Barda has been a major, major part of Kelly Thompson's Birds of Prey, and I love it.
Well, Big Barda is I mean, like I think you can make the argument that Big Barda is the greatest thing that Jack Kirby certainly in his DC era is like the most fun character.
That makes me look forward to it even more.
I
Um,
and as Jack said, I like big girls. Okay,
so
Jack.
I will say for the Fourth World Book Club on 22 panels, Sean Harklerode and Mark Pratt, I will bid you adieu and see you after the next page.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22panelspodcast.